here are the 5 biggest cover-ups by government. Unmasked.
लोग सच नहीं सच की कहानी सुनना पसंद करते हैं।
Number 5. Who killed Shastri?
दुनिया की सबसे बड़ी डेमोक्रेसी का दूसरा प्रधानमंत्री ताशकंद जाता है, वॉर ट्रीटी पर साइन करता है और मर जाता है। सैकड़ों सस्पिशियस होते हैं, लेकिन एक इंक्वायरी कमीशन भी नहीं बैठता है।
The mystery dates back to 1966. The newspaper headline of January 11 reported, 12 hours after peace treaty India's leader dead. Indo-Pak War 1965 ended with intervention of the Soviets. Prime Minister Shastri, who was forced to sign the accord, went to Tashkent, signed the peace treaty and died. Reason was a fatal heart attack to a person who was perfectly hale and hearty. So, was that really a heart attack? Or was it a state-sponsored murder? Mystery begins with shifting of Shastri from hotel to dacha on the outskirts of the main city. At around 1:25 a.m. he started coughing, which led him to unconsciousness and was finally declared as dead. He last talked to his daughter, to whom he told that he will drink milk and then sleep. He also told that he had some startling information which will shock the world. When his body was brought back to India, it was blue and had lots of cuts in the abdomen. Even when there was no post-mortem done either in Russia or in Delhi. His clothes had blood stains too. Jan Muhammad, who was the cook of Shastri at that night, was arrested on the grounds of poisoning the food but was released just after 3 hours. All his belongings were brought back except his flask through which he drank milk and his personal red diary in which he used to write every day. Shastri's wife requested for commission to form to probe into the mystery. There were 2 witnesses and were scheduled to be in front of the parliamentary body in 1977. One was Dr. R.N., who was on his way to testify in front of the committee but was hit by truck and died. The other witness, Ramnath, had the same fate. The other suspicious thing was that 2 medical reports were formed, one for Russia and one for Delhi, both contradicting each other. One claims the death to be clearly cardiac arrest, and the other was unclear on the same. Robert Crowley, a CIA agent, confirmed in an interview that Shastri was killed by CIA. Or was it KGB? Was Shastri sacrificed for Cold War? Shastri's death gave Indira Gandhi a sympathetic political gain and opened her way directly to PM seat. The influential family in India were directly in contact with the KGB. KGB was seeking a good hold on India, but Shastri was the man in between. After him, Indian government was just puppet in the hands of KGB, and the independent country was invisibly controlled by the socialists.
लाल बहादुर शास्त्री का केस हिंदुस्तान का सबसे बड़ा कवर अप है।
Number 4. Roswell UFO Crash.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947, that a flying disc has been found.
In 1947, unusually large wave of UFO sightings occurred. Over 300 claims of UFO sightings were registered. On 14 June 1947, a crash occurred at Roswell, New Mexico. On 4 July, Mac Brazel, a local rancher, saw the debris on crash site. He took the debris to George Wilcox, a local sheriff, for its investigation. Wilcox contacted military base Roswell Army Airfield. Then intelligence officer Jesse Marcel came to assess the crash site and recover the materials. On July 8, a press was released. RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. After that, General Roger Ramey personally inspected the crash remains and identified them as pieces of a weather balloon. On 9 July, another press was released. Harassed rancher who located saucer, sorry he told about it. With this, the world forgets this incident. In 1978, Stanton Friedman, a nuclear physicist and UFO researcher, interviewed Jesse Marcel. Marcel reignited the incident when he told that he believed the wreckage was definitely not a weather balloon. It felt like you had nothing in your hands. It wasn't any thicker than the foil out of a pack of cigarettes. But the thing about it that got me is that you couldn't even bend it, you couldn't dent it, even a sledgehammer would bounce off of it. I knew that I had never seen anything like that before. It was not anything from this earth, that I am quite sure of. Being an intelligence officer, I was familiar with all materials used in aircraft and air travel. This was nothing like that. It couldn't have been. In 1995, U.S. Air Force published an audit that said that debris found in 1947 was from a balloon used in Project Mogul, and there was no evidence of aliens involved. They also claimed that upon requesting files from the Roswell Air Force Base from the year 1947, it was found that all records from January 1947 to October 1947 had been destroyed. There have been more than 600 witnesses ranging from civilians to high-level military.
Recovered a crashed flying saucer and alien bodies here in New Mexico. It's one of the biggest stories of the millennium.
Number 3. Coronavirus. A biological weapon.
COVID-19 is the biggest suffering after World War II the world is experiencing. The pandemic has infected over 44 lakhs and leading to more than 3 lakhs deaths. This deadly virus has led the whole world to a stop, leading world economies to recession. But now the question arises, is this virus a Chinese biological weapon? Was it from biological warfare program? The mystery begins with a report of the Washington Times in which Dr. Shoham, former Israeli military intelligence, claimed that certain laboratories are engaged in the Chinese biological weapon under research and development. He said Wuhan Institute of Virology has done many researches on deadly virus, and it might have leaked from the lab. The US has alleged that China still runs small biological warfare program even after signing the Biological and Toxic Weapons Convention. The Wuhan National Biosafety Lab, a Level 4 lab, is just 32 kilometers from Hunan Seafood Market, epicenter of the outbreak, and the sources claims that the virus has been leaked from this lab. The local authority of China didn't tell anyone about the deadly virus till it was widely spread. Dr. Ai Fen went missing because she ruffled the feathers of Communist Party of China. She revealed it all in an interview that China was already knowing about the virus, but it didn't disclose. She also mentioned human-to-human transmission, but her whereabouts had gone missing. Another doctor, Dr. Luan Liang, also claimed the same. The President of the United States said that he had seen the proofs about coronavirus originating from Chinese laboratory. Though China has confirmed a lot of cases and is hiding the actual numbers, but it cannot be overlooked that China smartly restricted people from Wuhan to migrate to other parts of China, but it did allow them to travel around the world. China didn't even shut their main cities like Beijing or Shanghai. Was that done deliberately? Talking about the predictions of coronavirus, be it in Dean Koontz's The Eyes of Darkness or Sylvia Browne's End of Days or the movie Contagion, each one claimed the origin to be Wuhan. Now when the whole world is under lockdown, China is now reopening its Wuhan city and boosting its medical industries by supplying faulty equipments to different nations. Hence, we have a locked present and a mistful future.
Number 2. Project Bluebook.
This time, one of the pilots reported that he did see a group of lights, and he flew towards them, and they appeared to be all around him. Then they moved off, according to the ground radar and his report.
It contains the classified record from U.S. Air Force. It relates to U.S. Air Force investigations of UFO phenomenon from 1947 to 1969. The records are samples of thousands of pages of textual records, still pictures, motion pictures and sound recordings. From 1947 to 1969, a total of 12,618 sightings were reported to Project Bluebook. Of these sightings, 701 remain unidentified. The main incident was in July 1952, when strange sightings occurred over Washington, D.C. In 1975, the U.S. Air Force transferred its retired records concerning the investigations of UFOs into the custody of National Archives.
The Air Force baked it, the press served it, and the public ate it.
Number 1. Massive plot to kill the president.
I never saw one document that in any way not only should never have been redacted, but in any way should have been preserved for the year 2080 or whatever. What kind of show is that? What are they afraid of? There are no sources and methods. This was a murder case. The only source and method we would have found out is who in fact killed the president.
On November 22, 1963, the 35th President of United States, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated while sitting in a car in a motorcade through Dallas, Texas. He was struck by 2 bullets. Second was the fatal headshot. Governor John B. Connally, who was also in the car, was also hit but survived. Officially 3 bullets were fired. Shooting occurred from 6th floor window of Texas School Book Depository. Gunman was Lee Harvey Oswald, who was killed 2 days after this incident by Jack Ruby at Dallas Police Department. Motorcade route had unusual amount of turns and had over 20,000 windows overlooking the route. Byron Skelton, a Texas lawyer, had already said that political climate in Dallas was not safe, and he feared for the president's safety, but the president was not informed. According to the audio tape of the incident, Oswald shot 2 bullets within a time span of 1.6 seconds, which was not possible with the gun he fired with. There was a footage of the incident from a different angle which showed another shooter in the background on the grassy knoll, but that video had gone missing. Many eyewitnesses claimed that the bullet which did the fatal headshot was fired from grassy knoll. The House Select Committee on Assassinations confirmed that CIA had purposefully withheld information. 3 mob groups separately claimed that they were responsible for JFK's assassination: Chicago Mob, Miami Bob and New Orleans Mob. According to the high officials, there was also conspiracy in the autopsy of JFK. It was a massive plot to kill John F. Kennedy due to many reasons. He signed a treaty to ban nuclear testing with Russia and wanted to end Cold War with them. He stopped CIA's covert operations in Cuba and refused to invade Cuba in 1962. He was also going to withdraw army from Vietnam.
He maybe is a problem. It identifies a number of actions that could be taken, one of which, the last one, implies that if Washington does not respond to what they want done, it should be wet. And that's the language I think the Soviets started to use for assassination.
That fatal shot was fired from the front. There's no question about it. The autopsy picture showed it, and that's why they were suppressed and kept from public view. There's no question at all, not just in my mind, but in anybody's mind.
If you know more cover-ups by government, comment below your thoughts.